Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. So we back with another one. I came across this TikTok that was going viral just the other day actually, and I want to talk about it because it's really kind of just makes you wonder. It gives you a different perspective into the complexities of marriage and just what some women go through. But I don't want to talk about it too much and give too much details because I had to do a little digging. So we're going to jump right into it and then we'll be back.
Put a finger down if you're 29 with 5 kids under the age of 7 and your husband told you he wants to get a divorce because you want to continue going to your family church he doesn't like, but he wants you to stay in the house for the sake of the kids and says he'll eventually start seeing other people. So he takes back the Benz that he bought you and buys you a less expensive car, and you take you and your 5 kids to go live with your dad. And now you share a room with your 5 kids trying to get your life back together because you haven't worked in 8 years because your husband told you to focus on you, your kids, and school. So now you got to learn how to be a single mom, all while your kid's dad is gaslighting you, making you feel bad for leaving the house because he says you should have stayed and saved up, even though he's going to be out doing what he wants to do.
So initially, when I first seen this video, I was like, what is her goal here? What is she trying to do? Like, because to me, it seems like she's trying to spin this narrative about her husband and, this whole victim mindset, this whole victim. Like, a lot of women get on these platforms, especially TikTok, and they spin this story to make it seem like they're a victim. Somebody just dogged them out, very crazy. Now, I'm not saying she's wrong in how she's feel. I'm not victim blaming. I'm not saying that what her husband did to her is wrong, is right, or anything like that. I'm not sticking up for him in any way, shape, or form. But it just kind of gave me the wrong, like, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way when I first seen this. I was just like, because it's just like, girl, why are you coming to social media? Like, I realize a lot of people will just do stuff for social media just for the plot. Like, they do stuff just to go viral and then they have to backtrack and, try to explain what they meant. And it's just never a good look because it's like people will take what you say the first time and run with it. And so when I first seen this, I was just like, girl, who are you trying to get sympathy from? For like, let's be for real. Are you trying to like just because women on TikTok, they love to bash men. They love to bash men. They love to go in on men, and this was like the calling card for all the men bashers to come to come run into the comments and to just do what they do. And a lot of people felt some type of way about it. So, but I had to do some digging. So I went on her page earlier and found some other stories because I'm like, okay, what's the backstory behind this? Like, where's all this coming from? So I also have some more clips of her kind of doing like a backstory on how they met and just giving a little history. So we're gonna get into that as well.
So, this is part one of how I became a single mom at 29. My husband and I dated our 12th grade year of high school. We went prom dates. He actually just started off as a date and it just went on from there. Fast forward 2016, I'm in college and I decided, I want to go start getting back into church. And, I wanted to go back to my childhood church because that's where I felt God the most. So I started going, and, my husband, well, my boyfriend at the time, he started going too. He was not involved in church. He didn't go to church, but he was going, and he started actually liking it. The church is an apostolic church. Church of God the Bible Way. It's an apostolic church, and it's very much holiness, Bible based. It goes. Everything is straight from the Bible. We are taught from the Bible. So, my husband starts, my man at the time, he starts coming to church, and he's really enjoying it. Like, he's enjoying the word. He's learning so much, about Jesus, and just the things about the Bible. So fast forward 2017, March 2017, him and I get married. When we get married, he is just a regular brother, but when I tell you he moves he moves up in the ranks, like he moves up like to a pastor, holding Bible studies, and he the whole shebang. Part 2 in the next video. Okay, so I would like to address some things before I start with part 2. My husband is a great father. I would even say he's a great husband, but this situation has gotten out of control between us. I have a degree, and I also have a real estate license, so I want to put that out there. Also, he is still 100% taking care of his kids. The kids are still going to the house. I removed myself because mentally I couldn't take it anymore. I'm still in school. I have my degree, and I went back. So I don't know where y'all getting this narrative where I left without a plan. Also, my husband is not broke at all. Let's put that out here. He's taking care of his kids. He's picking them up. He's doing everything. So I don't know where y'all getting this from. Also, I would like to say my husband works in Decatur. We live in Warner Robins. So if you know the distance between that's about an hour and a half. So I wasn't going to stay down there doing all my wifely duties, being the first point of contact for my kids, picking them up from school, taking them to school while he's at work during the day, while I'm working down there, having to do everything by myself because they would have called me first. He lives too far to come get him. That's why I'm the first point of contact. That's another reason why I did not want to stay down there, because I have more family up in the Atlanta area that can help me with the kids, and so that he can also help me with the kids if there was an emergency during the day. Also, I did not sign up to be my husband's roommate. Yes, it was a hard decision for me to leave the house. I did not want to leave the house. I did not want to uproot my kids. But at the same time, if you're telling me that we're getting a divorce and that, I'm basically a single mom, then let me go ahead and learn how to be a single mom by myself. He is 100% a provider. Like I said, he's 100% still financially and actively in his kids' life. So I don't know where y'all getting this information off that one video. But moving forward with part 2. Like I said, I had my first child in 2017 and my second child in February 2019. In the church, an apostolic church that I was going to, we don't believe in contraceptives. I need to put this out here, and I don't want to sound mean. I did not want 5 kids. I love all my children, but I did not want 5 kids. I remember the day I got pregnant with my second son. I told my husband, hey, this is a high day. I don't want to. And he said, and because I was being submissive, he didn't force me. I wanted to be submissive to my husband because that's how we are taught as women, to be submissive to your husband. I did what I had to do, and I knew I got pregnant that day with my second son, so that's how my second son came about. I love him, but it is what it is. So that transition from 1 to 2 kids, it was a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I was trying to figure it out. We were traveling back and forth, and traveling from also to churches in Florida, Mississippi, Alabama. You know what I mean? It was a lot, and we were putting in a lot financially. He was willingly putting money in financially. So that was another thing. Like, it was stressful. And, I just, I was at home with my kids as well. Oh, and also, it was kind of hard for me to work because, with the traveling back and forth, I had to be off work by a certain time because he wanted me in church. My husband. Hi, I'm just going to come over here and to address some things, especially a lot of things that are being said in the comments. My husband does want 50-50 custody. Like I said before, my husband works an hour and a half, almost 2 hours away from the home, depending on traffic. So that's, they can stay with him. Don't get me wrong, they can stay with him. But I went ahead and removed my kids because nobody is down there. Nobody will be down there. He's not going to get off his job to go to a job down there. Nobody is down there in Warner Robins to take care of the kids while he's at work. I moved up so that him and I can be in the same area during the day. So that's number 1. He wants 50-50 custody, and, I moved up. I didn't move up. He didn't force me to. Number 2, all I did was take my kids' clothes and, move them up here. I didn't move our whole house. Did I want to uproot my kids? No. But the only reason I did is because I was not going to live in a house where my spouse and I weren't talking
You know, my 8-year-old son, 7-year-old son is looking at me saying, "Hey, mommy, you know, basically, are you and dad okay?" And when me and my spouse would talk, my child would like, "Hey, mommy, you talk to daddy good." And I give him a hug and kiss. So it was like, you know, that was kind of hurting me because I know what's going on, but, you know, he doesn't know what's going on. So I said, you know what, this is not the life or a marriage or an example of a marriage, at least at this moment, that my child needs to see. Also, a lot of you are saying, well, did you finish school? Did you pursue your education? Yes, I did. I said this before. I got a bachelor's in health. Like I have a degree, and I'm actually going back to school to put a specialty on that degree. Yes, I was a stay-at-home mom for that amount of time. And a lot of people are saying, well, why didn't you, work during that time? I had little jobs here and there, but, my job was mainly a stay-at-home mom. And it was during our times in the church, just over the years, us being so far and the church being a certain distance, it was hard for me to get a job without having, because, with the job that I had, I would have to get off work at 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon just to make it on church on time. So imagine that, and then, I have little kids. I would also want to address the thing on child support. Like I said, my husband is still taking care of the kids. He is, still financially giving to the kids. I did file for child support, but the only reason I did that is because the way we're communicating right now is just not going well. So I just wanted him, to have the child support loaded on the card so that I wouldn't have to directly deal with him. And like I said again a little earlier, I did not have to leave the home. I chose to leave the home. With my dad, I was telling him about the situation that was going on because I was going to stay there and, save, I have a job, just stay there and do that. But I said, you know what? I'm the only one down there. I have no family, no help. He's going, my spouse, he's going during the day, hour and a half away. Let me go ahead and do the same thing that I'm doing here at my home. Let me go ahead and move up to with my dad. And just do the same thing there. You go to work and do everything I need to do there, so everything as far as the kids won't fall on me. Because at this point, you're telling me we're roommates. I didn't sign up to be a roommate. I'm not gonna watch the man I love, because I don't hate him. I'm not gonna watch him so-called see other people. And I honestly think he just said that to hurt me, but whatever. But I'm not gonna deal with that. And my kids, it was never going to be a good time to uproot the kids. So sad to say it, I'd rather do it while they're young than when they're 10, 11, 12, because it's never really a good time to uproot your children. And like I said, in the Put a Finger Down video, yeah, my delivery was, kind of, I guess, harsh, or just, I guess it seemed as if I was going in on him. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't to bash him. And it was, honestly, it's not about the kids. I know a lot of people are just highlighting the kid situation from that. I'm fine. Like motherhood is not hard to me. I love my kids. I actually enjoy my kids, and he does not overbear me with my kids. I just knew at that moment, in this with everything that's going on with the legal process and everything, it was just better for me just to go ahead and just get the kids for the moment and go until we get everything straightened out. Like I said, in my dad's house, I'm doing the same thing that I would have did down there. And, if I had to get called off work, at least I'll have more hands to come help me out. Hey, can you go pick up so-and-so? Because I can't get off my job. And, I won't be the first point of contact. You can call the dad too. So with all that being said, I made this move for a peace of mind. Like I said, was it an easy decision? Definitely not. I did not want to, like I said, I was going to stay, but I couldn't because it was just too much. It was overbearing. I didn't want to walk in my own home on eggshells or, just with a bad atmosphere. But, hopefully here, and not hopefully, but here we'll be able to get things sorted out on my end and on his end, and the kids are still going with their dad. Like they see their dad. We're just right now, they're with me right now primarily, and we're going to get everything sorted out once we get the custody thing together. So yes.
So after seeing the rest of her story or parts of it, because I don't even think she could really finish telling the story, because she was trying to explain, and she started responding to different comments and stuff when I went to her page. And so she really didn't get to finish like the backstory of what happened in their relationship and why, he was wanting a divorce and why she ended up leaving. Well, she kind of did explain why she left, which I understand now that she explained it. And I understand why she left. And I think it really just all boils down to, when you're young, you really don't know what you want. And, I really can't say anything about marriage just because I'm not married. I don't have that experience. So I can't say too much about what it is and what it ain't with marriage. Because, like I said, I don't have that experience. And I'm not going to sit here and try to put my 2 cents on what somebody should have did while they were married, because at the same time I don't know what I would have done. I've never been in that situation. I've never had that experience, so I can't sit here and say, oh, she should have did this, she should have did that. I'm not in that situation, nor do I have kids. Also, like, I don't know what I would have done, so I can't sit here and just say too much about the marriage part. But what I will say is that just from like just being a woman and learning about relationships, I will say that they were very young. And just from me being in a church, and so I do understand that perspective as well, like going to church and learning about God and getting a relationship with God. Like my pastor, he teaches us, take your time, okay? When it comes to marriage, like, you have to take this stuff serious. You can't just rush into it because you hot in the pants. And that's what he teaches, like, all the time. He's a stickler on that, and he's very strict about it. And so I understand that perspective, where she was saying like he doesn't really want to go to the church that she was in. And it just made me think of that, because my pastor preaches that. If you don't know, I go to First Church, our Lord Jesus Christ, Pastor Geno Jennings, very controversial pastor, minister. And yeah, I mean, he got a lot of stuff on YouTube. So his stuff is very, very strict, and I love it. So just putting that out there. That's who I follow. And, he stick to the Bible. Up straight, and that's it, point blank, period. If it ain't Bible, he ain't going for it. And that's what I love about him. So it don't matter how big the congregation get, don't matter how many people follow him, he's sticking to that word and what's in that Bible. He ain't going off what he think, he ain't going off what he feel like should be, or what society and the world wants us to go along with and accept. And that's what I love. He hasn't changed since I've been following him. And I'm just putting that out there, in case y'all want to check him out. He's on YouTube. Very controversial. Now he gonna say something you don't like, but he's preaching the truth. So anyways, like I said, so I understand that aspect of wanting to uphold your religious belief and foundation when it comes to your marriage, because like I said, your belief system is kind of what holds the marriage together. So the man's supposed to be following Christ, and then the woman's supposed to be submissive to the man and follow his lead. So it all plays a role in that. So I understand where she was talking about how, that kind of just broke apart, that fell apart. And so it just kind of messed up the rest of the marriage. And that's possible. So I don't know. I think that, like I said, my pastor, he preaches, take your time. They were really young, and you really don't know a person at that age. Like, you really don't even know yourself at that age. So, and then with kids involved, having kids at a very young age, all back to back. And so, I don't know. It's kind of one of those weird situations. And I really can't say too much. Like I said, I really can't say too much just because I've never been in that situation. I haven't been married before. So I can understand to a certain extent, but the rest of it I really can't, because I don't have that experience. I don't have that knowledge yet. Like, I don't know. But I will just say again that this was just, it just makes me look at marriage, you know, you got to take it serious. You can't just go into it thinking that, oh, this is just something to do. This is just something to pass time. Let me do it because everybody else do it, or just do, you know, like some people really don't take it as serious as it is. It's a life commitment till death do you part. And I think people take that too lightly. It's not till death, it's not till you get tired. It's not till the person is no longer attractive to you. It's not till you getting on my nerves. Like it's not, it's till death do you part. And that's what people fail to realize. It's not till you run out of money, or till you know the kids get grown and they move out the house. Like it's to the end. So I don't know. A lot of people were feeling some type of way in the comments. You know, I seen some of the responses that she had from the videos. You know, people was like, oh, how you gonna make this video and then you start taking up for them in the end, and like, which that's kind of what happens when you get on social media and try to tell a story and spin a narrative. Like, you got to be careful because people will take it and run with it, and then you could not even mean it in that way. And it's like, that's why you can't just be doing stuff just to go viral. Like, and I'm sure she probably wasn't expecting that to go viral, but she should have had a, like, the stuff that go viral on TikTok is like, okay, I get it. You know, certain stuff you just know why it went viral because it's just, you know, it hit a nerve. It's one of those things that, you know, people just will just gravitate towards, especially it's a hot topic, something like that. And, you know, it's a bunch of women nowadays in the community that already want to paint this negative image of marriage anyway. So it's like, oh, well, that's why I don't want to get married. It's like you take this one situation that don't even pertain to you, that you ain't never experienced, and you want to apply it to your personal life to make it seem like, oh, well, that's why I don't want to get married, because she went through this and she dealt with that. So I don't even want marriage at all for me because I don't want to go through that. And it's like, you can't even, why would you put somebody else's situation on you that you haven't even, like, you know, you haven't even experienced that. Like you making a hypothetical situation for yourself real when it's not even real. And we tend to do that a lot. A lot of people do that. A lot of women do that, and they paint this narrative, oh, I don't want to be married. Marriage is just a piece of paper. Marriage is a business deal. These men are terrible, and I just think that's terrible. Like, messages like this send out the wrong message to women that don't get married. It's like with every relationship, it's going to be ups and downs. And a lot of people aren't prepared for that when they do step into a marriage. They think it's going to be sunshine and rainbows every day. And that's just not the case. It's going to take work. You're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to, every day, it's going to be a constant thing that you have to like be conscious about of what you're doing, how you're treating your partner, how you're talking to them. Like you got to, it's a give and take. It's for both people. It's not just one-sided. You know, y'all are a team. You're not enemies. And I think that's why a lot of these relationships don't work. They go into it thinking it's a business deal, like, oh, well, I could get out at any moment. You know, you can always end a contract. You can always cut off a contract in a business deal at any moment. But you can't do that in marriage. It's not so easy. This is a sticky situation. Like I said, I don't want to talk too, like, I'm not going to speak negative on it, because I don't know, like, I don't have that experience, but I just wanted to talk about it because I was just like, wow, you know, this is different, but I can understand not wanting to be in that situation. Like, I can understand feeling a certain way, you in love with this man, and he telling you, like, oh, well, you can stay here, but I'm going to do what I want to do, and it's like, I'm not going to have that. That's just, you know, that type of energy, that type of aura in the house. And then you got kids, they're going to pick up on that. So I get why she left and just went to her parents to just have a peace of mind and not have to be so stressed out with seeing him and wondering what he's doing. And it's like, let me just get out of this environment altogether. And you know, some people were in the comments like, oh, you should have left the kids with the dad, and why you didn't leave him with them and all that stuff. And it's just like, look, y'all don't even know the ins and outs of this girl situation. Like some people just they'll make up stuff. Like they will literally make up a whole scenario about what's going on with you, and it won't even be true. And that's just the craziest thing about doing stuff on social media. That's why I've been so hesitant about me getting on social medias, because I could be telling a story and somebody will take it and spin it into this whole different thing that it wasn't even meant to go. So you got to be careful when you posting stuff on social media. But I don't know. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like I said, this one was a little weird. So y'all be blessed.